was worried about talking about Breath of the Wild, bro. Because if your name isn't TriForce, bro, I'm like, oh, I better not trash this game too much. Now, I will say this though: A Link Between Worlds, that's a classic in my opinion.
Oh no, they're definitely. See, the thing is, well, when it comes to Zelda, like you see how you have the lore for Dragon Ball down pat? I have the lore for Zelda down pat.
Really? Can you please tell me where the hell Breath of the Wild takes place in the timeline?
It's at the very end. It's at the absolute end. This is
so that's the newest. So Breath of the Wild is the newest story.
Yes, it's the newest. There's only one timeline to the entire Zelda franchise. I don't know if you know about this thing called Hyrule Historia, which breaks it up into 3. That does not exist. Yeah, Nintendo is wrong. You heard that from me. Nintendo is wrong. They're wrong.
So wait, but isn't it their franchise?
Yes, it is their franchise.
No, because they licensed the Hyrule Historia. They licensed a third-party company to make it, and they were like, okay, do whatever the hell you want with the timeline.
That timeline is not legit. It's just signed off on. It's phoned in. It's a phoned-in timeline.
It's literally, it just got so convoluted that they didn't bother to try, but TriForce actually figured it out.
I never fucking knew that ever.
It's one timeline. I'll give it to you right now in literally like 2 minutes. It starts at Skyward Sword. Right? That's the absolute beginning. Shortly afterwards is Ocarina of Time. Zelda, by leaving the Ocarina with Link, and Link uses the Master Sword and breaks the time seal, he creates an alternate timeline. This is called the divergence. He divides time into 2. So it creates an alternate timeline. You're like Trunk. Oh, see, because he's a Dragon Ball head, he knows, so he's already getting there. So,
I like time travel shit too, but yeah.
All right, so now that you have the timeline there and it diverges over, you still have the main timeline. At the end of the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Zelda says, "I'm going to send you back to your timeline, Link." So she sends him back to his timeline. So he has to do Ocarina of Time all over again. But this time, Link warns her that Ganon is coming. So instead of having this war with Ganon and he destroys Hyrule, they arrest Ganon before it happens. Hyrule is saved that peace. Zelda gives Link the Ocarina. Link takes the Ocarina. He goes to the Lost Woods. There, the Skull Kids takes
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask. After Majora's Mask, then you have what's the name of this thing? Hyrule Warriors. Then you have what's the name of this other game? Come on, Travis, come on, get it together. Oh my goodness. Why can't Twilight Princess? Yeah. So you have Twilight Princess. After you have Twilight Princess, then you have Zelda 3. Then after Zelda 3, then you have A Link Between Worlds, which is the direct sequel to Zelda 3. Then
wait a minute, what about Link's Awakening?
Oh no, it's coming. Hold on, it's coming.
Oh, okay. So, I thought Link's Awakening was right after Zelda 3.
No, because see, you have to when you split the timeline into 2, there's a path it takes, and you see how everything goes. So when you get to the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, you have to pause right there. Then you go back and you go to the divergence timeline, the secondary timeline.
Yeah.
So the new timeline. In the new timeline, you have Wind Waker. Then you have Phantom of the Hourglass, Spirit Tracks. I don't know if you want to count Tetra's puzzle, whatever. I guess this is like a filler game or whatever the case may be. And then you have this game called what's the name of this game? It's any one of the 4 Swords games. You have to. You can mix and match them if you want. It doesn't make a difference. I like to put the GameCube one up there. So because it came out during the age when they put out what's the name of that game? Wind Waker.
Yeah.
When you have 4 Swords, 4 Swords Adventures, in the main timeline, you have The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and you have Palace of the 4 Swords. So there's a game called Legacy of Kain Soul Reap. And in this game, it shows you that when you have a divergence in time, in order to fix time, a convergence has to happen. A prime example of this is, have you watched Rick and Morty?
Well, yeah. Well, I haven't watched Rick and Morty, but I know what a convergence in time is. Stabilizing it, basically.
To stabilize a timeline, 2 exact instances in both different timelines have to happen at the same time, and then it merges it as one. So in the alternative timeline, 4 Swords Adventures happens, and in the main timeline, 4 Swords Palace of the 4 Swords happen. So 2 instances where you have 4 links doing something at the same time happen, and it remerges the timeline. That is called a convergence. Although this also happened, something like this similarly happens in Hyrule Warriors, where a paradox actually happens, and then you use a Triforce to seal a paradox and fix the timeline or whatever. But whatever. So once you fix the timeline now, and the Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past is done with the Palace of the Four Swords, when you get the Triforce of Power in Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, that is when the convergence literally happens, because Link makes a wish in his heart to make everything return back to the normal way it is. By making the wish, it is explained in the Legend of Zelda lore that whatever wish you make, the Triforce grants a greater expression of the wish. So when Link made the wish to restore everything back to normal, the Triforce fixed the timeline.
So then we're back to one main timeline again. Correct.
Now we're back, so that's the convergence. So now that we're back to one main timeline,
you gotta make a video out of this, bro.
I kind of already have that done, but I'm literally trying to make a let's play timeline of it, where I play all of the games and explain in game in lore the timeline. That's what I'm literally doing right now, which is why the guy says, TriForce, you're standing looking at a tree stump for 5 hours, because I found the Majora's Mask tree stump in
it's not confirmed, TriForce. It's just a stump.
Shut up.
Confirmed.
So
there was a glowing mushroom, and he thought it matched up with a flower in the cutscene from the beginning of Majora's Mask. That's where it just all came from. A fucking glowing mushroom.
So well, wait a minute. What about Zelda 1 and 2?
Oh, wait, no,
and Minish Cap.
Minish Cap
and Oracle of the Seasons.
I love Oracle of the Seasons. Bro. So underrated.
Minish Cap is actually at the top. I forgot to say that. After Spirit Tracks is dead, Minish Cap. When the water recedes down back from Hyrule in what's the name of this thing? In Phantom of the Hourglass. No, the water recedes in Phantom of the Hourglass. When it recedes down, you play Spirit Tracks, you see the world starting to connect through the tracks now that the ocean has been reduced. But then after that's done, then you have Minish Cap, and then you have Four Swords Adventures, or you just have Four Swords by itself. It doesn't make a difference. Anyway, after that, then when you go back to the main timeline, everything's been converted. Then you have what's the name of this game? A Link Between Worlds, which kind of makes sense now that the timeline is bridged together. There's an alternate world that has to be made, right? So that's when you have the low rule rather than high rule.
Well, I'm confused about that though, if you don't mind me asking. The Dark World in A Link to the Past and Low Rule look exactly the same, but they're supposed to be two different worlds. I never understood that. I don't understand. Is Low Rule and Dark World the same thing?
No, but they have Low Rule is an alternate universe or realm of Hyrule. It's not a time; it's a realm.
Okay, but what about the Dark World?
The Dark World,
past, right?
The Dark World, Ganon. When Aghanim got the Triforce, when they were stealing the 7 maidens or the descendants of Zelda's family, they were cracking the gates to the sacred realm open, and by doing that, they were distorting time. The Ganon's entire purpose was to create an alternate realm, and the realm was being created through a break in time. That's why Link has to go into the what's the name of this thing here? The mirror, and he travels back and forth in time. The more Link kept going, letting things happen in the past, for A Link to the Past was changing the future of that present time you were in. That's why sometimes in Zelda A Link to the Past, when you go back to the present, so to speak, you start to notice there's subtle changes, because the present was being turned into the future you kept going to. That's in the game. That's not me making that up or my theory. That's in the game.
So then why is Low World so similar to the Dark World? Oh, I'm sorry, Low Rule. Why is it so similar? They're almost identical.
There's no actual explanation for it per se.
It was just a throwback that the game designers put in there to like say, hey, it's like the Dark World. Like, was it one of those
could have been, or it could just actually be something. The future that Low Rule made, instead of it becoming its own time, become its own realm.
Well, TriForce, going off of what you said about how Link to the Past fused the two divergent timelines together, wouldn't it make more sense to say, since the two timelines fused together, characteristics of both worlds were blended into one? So that's why Dark World is Low Rule is just an alternate version of Dark World once it's been mixed in with all the other games from the alternate timeline.
Which is why Majora's Mask is found in that can be said, but that's headcanon. That nothing, we can't confirm it. But to answer the question, Geekdom, yes, that's what that is. But we can't say for sure. We don't know. It doesn't change anything. No, not really. But at the same time, we at least get an understanding of what's being portrayed in the story. But more importantly is moving forward to answer your question, what about Zelda 1 and 2?
Yes.
So after Link to the Past, and then you have
hang on. I just want to point something out. You can tell that this is the first time that these two gentlemen have ever engaged each other in conversation.
Why?
Because like this happens every time two people with mutual like interest get together. They say they're gonna have like a quick brief meeting, and then it's like hours and hours. You guys are going to be going on for the next 8 hours.
Everybody who talks to me has that, but I am genuinely curious about
it. Happens to me too.
No, it's.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying, like this is magical.
So after you get past Zelda 3, and then you go into its true sequel, which is A Link Between Worlds. After that, you have TriForce Heroes.
I never played that one, but okay.
It's TriForce Heroes is like one person less from Four Swords. That's really it's Three Swords Adventures. That's what I call it. But it actually has something to do with Hyrule, and it does actually have something to do. It's so funny. I have the game and I have not opened it yet, because I want to find out what it. But it does state to have happens after A Link Between Worlds. So, and that kind of makes sense for that to kind of happen then and there. So after that, now after TriForce Heroes, based on the story, the next game is Oracles of Seasons and Ages. After Oracles of Seasons and Ages, now this is where I have to slow down, because then now you're going to start to see certain things that you can remember in the game. You played Oracle of Seasons and Ages, have you?
I love those games, but I haven't played them in years. But those games are the ones that are the most underrated Zelda games.
Yeah, the ones on the handhelds. I 100% agree. So at the end of Oracle of Seasons and Ages, Link takes a boat back to Hyrule.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that ending.
Yeah, it's not like the ending of Link's Awakening, right?
Exactly. Link's Awakening happens right after Four Swords in the Oracle of Seasons and Ages.
Okay.
After Link Awakening is done, right, and you defeat Zelda, you defeat Ganon. Link is in the ending of the game. You see Link on a small piece of wood drifting in the ocean. His Master Sword is gone, and he drifts back to the shores of Hyrule, which just kind of makes sense, because when you play Breath of the Wild, right, you can see how Link drifted in the ocean, which is kind of godlike, because I'm going to use Breath of the Wild to actually merge a lot of the, because I wanted to get an artist who could draw a lot of these things, and I'm like, why get an artist to draw this when I can just use Breath of the Wild's references? Because Breath of the Wild gives you the world of Hyrule, not just parts of it, the whole world. Like the island in
it's massive.
The island in Link's Awakening is in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's huge. It's tremendous. It's so big. I mean, but yeah,
right.
I can take.
So now watch this. So I'm gonna ask you a question. You're gonna answer it, and you're gonna start to see. If I'm on if you're Link and your ship has been destroyed, right, and you're on a piece of wood and you drift back to land, where would you? Okay, here's a better example for that. When going from Knothole Island in what's the name of this, Breath of the Wild, when taking the island back on a raft back to Hyrule, where do you land?
I don't remember, because I hate that game and I blocked it out of my memories. Remind me, please.
Okay, I'm just gonna remind you, right? Knothole Island's at the southern end of the Hyrule map in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
The only places you can go to from raft there is to beach shores.
Yeah.
Okay. In The Legend of Zelda 1, where do you start?
In that little place next to that cave and that little place. Whatever.
How far is that from the beach shore?
Not very far. You just move up a little bit and you're there, right?
3 screens across is the beach shore.
Yeah, like right there. Yeah.
So this was a hypothesis that the theory I came up. The reason why Link starts the game without no sword, because he lost the sword in the shipwreck, right? Drifted back to Hyrule, got to the the beach, and when he got to the beach, he came over a couple more and he met the old man, and he's like, "Oh man, what happened to Hyrule?" Ganon ransacked Hyrule while you were gone to that other realm or whatever the place name is, yada yada yada. But it's very dangerous outside there, moblins. Take this, and he gives you a wooden sword.
The first sword of the game, and you go from there. Yeah.
The first sword of the game. So let me ask you this next question. Yeah. When a soldier dies in war and his gun or sword is left on the battlefield, and you find this gun as a sword, what do people do to fallen soldiers? Can't find their bodies, but they can find their weapons. What do you do?
Don't they bring it back with them?
But like to commemorate their death, what do? Do
you bury them with the sword?
You bury their sword. You bury their sword or their gun, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You play Breath of the Wild. You've seen the sword grave area where people's swords are there, and these were fallen warriors have fallen. They make a graveyard for swords. They've done this in real life, right? Where's the Master Sword found in Zelda?
In Zelda 1?
Yeah.
Nowhere.
It's actually found in the graveyard.
The Master Sword in Zelda 1?
The Master Sword in Zelda 1 referred to. The Master Sword in Zelda 1 is referred to as the magical sword.
That's the same sword, but wait a minute. I had a bunch of my Zelda friends tell me that the magic sword and the Master Sword are not the same thing, bro. That's why I was.
No. See, this is what they do. This is what they do to confuse people. First of all, there was no Master Sword until they made Zelda 3.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So everything was called the magical sword. The sword in Zelda 1 and sword in Zelda 2 are the magical sword. When they made the cartoon, that same sword that goes and the laser comes out, that's the Master Sword.
It makes sense because the Master Sword shoots beams. Like I get it.
So then when they made Zelda 3, they just simply retconned the name to Master Sword.
So okay. So the magic sword and the Master Sword are the same thing. I never picked up on that.
Swords. It's just that they changed the name. How many times have people retcon things so that you can kind of get a better understanding to it? So
trust me. Remember, Super Saiyan 2 was called Super Saiyan Grade 5 originally. Remember that whole.
Yes, and then they turned it to Super Saiyan Blue. No, I'm Super Saiyan 2.
2, yeah.
Yes.
Blue was SSGSS.
Yes, exactly. But now, if people who don't watch the lore of it, when you tell them, when let's say Goku turns into Super Saiyan for the first time, Super Saiyan 2 for the first time, and then they hear you go, Goku in the Majin Vegeta arc turned into Super Saiyan Grade 2. People are like, Geekdom, what the hell are you talking about? That's Super Saiyan 2. It's like, no, it was once called Super Saiyan Grade 5.
Yeah, exactly.
So the magic sword is the Master Sword.
So how did it end up in the graveyard?
Because they thought Link died. When his ship was shipwrecked in a Link's Awakening, they found his sword on the shores of Hyrule, and then they gave it to them, and they thought Link died, so they made a grave for Link, and they buried the sword there. That's how you get the sword.
Do you have a theory about how much time passed between those two events? That seems like that'd be a while back.
No, that's shortly after, because then how long was Link knocked out when the lightning hit his ship and made him unconscious for Link's Awakening? We don't know.
That's what I'm asking you, because we don't really know the. Have an answer to that?
Speculatory, we don't know. It's probably a short amount of time because Ganon ransacked Hyrule real quick. I'll tell you that. And it makes sense how Ganon ransacked Hyrule because Zelda was with Impa in the Oracles of Seasons and the Ages. She wasn't in Hyrule. She was with you in that new land that the Triforce teleported you to. So by the time Zelda got back, Ganon was already building up his forces after losing. Because when you beat Ganon in Oracle of Seasons and Ages, Ganon doesn't die. He says he's gonna come back.
So he goes to Hyrule.
Yes, but guess what? In order to fight Zelda, he needs to stop you from getting back to Hyrule. You take a boat. So what does Ganon do? He uses the Triforce of Power and calls a thunderstorm, which shipwrecks you in the ocean. Now you're in there, who knows for how long time, while Ganon is in Hyrule, and Ganon then takes over Hyrule, captures Princess Zelda, and by the time you get back, Zelda has been captured, Southern Hyrule has been ransacked, and everyone thought you were dead. So now you get the sword. Yes. You bop Ganon, you rescue Princess Zelda, and the kingdom is saved. Northern Hyrule is spared from destruction. You play Zelda 2. Where do you start in Zelda 2? Northern Hyrule.
Yes, and then you go down.
And you go down. Anyone who has an NES maps, you'll notice in the NES maps that you're at the north part of the you're in the northern section of what's the name of this thing? No. Because when you go down to when you go to South Hyrule in Zelda 2, you're now at the northern tip of Death Mountain.
Yeah, I always found that weird as a kid, man. Why Death Mountain was in a different spot. I didn't get it when I was a kid.
It's not in a different spot. Death Mountain is separated by water. That's how big Death Mountain is.
Yeah.
If you play Zelda 1, you notice that there's a river that breaks that you can go around the Death Mountain.
Yeah.
But you remember this is 2D graphics, so you can't really see a 3D perspective of it.
Yeah,
but
it's not it's probably much bigger in 3D perspective. I see where you're coming with it, yeah.
Well, actually is. When you play Breath of the Wild, look at the size of Death Mountain.
Yeah. Okay. So then Zelda 2's after Zelda 1.
Okay, Zelda 2's after Zelda 1. Now here's a cringy part. After Zelda 1, right? Oh man, this is the best part. After Zelda 1, peace is brought onto Hyrule, and then you have, because Zelda 2 is not called The Legend of Zelda. The legend is over. Link rescued Zelda and ended the Zelda legend in Zelda 1 for the NES. And now that's why part 2 on the NES is called Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. So this is about Link's adventures. So from here, the adventures after the game is followed by the cartoon. Why? Because in the cartoon...
Wait a minute, hold on. The cartoon is canon to the game?
Yes. Well, in my timeline, it's canon.
That's wacky, because I've never heard... Okay, now if you're going to make those canon, bro, where the fuck is Link the Faces of Evil and all that bullshit CDI?
I said it's gonna get wacky. Hold on, it's in it too.
You're crazy.
I'm gonna explain it to you. I'm gonna explain it, and you're gonna be like, wait a minute, this does make sense. Okay.
No, I'm with you. I'm following you right now, bro.
In Zelda 1... In Zelda 1, Link destroys Ganon's body. This is stated in Zelda 1. Link destroys Ganon's body. His body's turned to ash.
Yes.
And this is pig-formed Ganon, and you take the Triforce of Power from Ganon's physical body. Although Ganon is the Triforce of Power itself. Well, the Triforce of Power is actually Demise. Ganon is the actual person. You learned this in Breath of the Wild. Actually, you learned this in both Breath of the Wild, and then you also learned this in Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword, Demise is the Triforce of Power. He tells you he's gonna find a... Well, he tells you he's gonna come after you.
The Demise was like the devil, pretty much, right, from Skyward Sword.
Yeah,
but I thought Demise was reincarnated as Ganon. That's what I had always thought.
No, Demise is the Triforce of Power itself. That's why you see, when you see Demise, he has a pig form. He's the essence of the Triforce of Power. His power absolutely corrupts.
He looks like Ganon, bro.
Yes, that is him. No,
I see, because Ganon touched the power. Okay, I gotcha. So wait,
that's why he turns into the pig. But his actual name, the physical being, the Gerudo, his name is Ganon Dragomire.
Ganondorf Dragomire.
Yes, his name is Ganondorf. Demise turns into Ganon by itself. This is why in Breath of the Wild, it's called the malice of what is it called? Calamity Ganon. Yes, it is literally the essence of Ganon in Demise's form. That's why when you look at him, he looks like, yo, why does he look like Demise? That is Demise. Ganon, the physical person, died a long time ago. He died in Zelda 1. You killed the physical person Ganon in Zelda 1. He's dead.
So the Ganon's body, Ganondorf's pig body is destroyed.
No. Ganon Dragomire is destroyed.
But you fight him as a pig in Zelda 1.
No, you fight him as a pig because he transforms into a pig. But when you use a sacred arrow or the magical arrow, whichever the one they call it, that's why when he hits him, he goes and he dissipates into ashes, and you go and the Triforce pops out of him. He needs the Triforce to keep his body together.
Okay, so just to recap, make sure I'm sorry. Okay, so Demise was so Demise did not get reincarnated as Ganon. I thought what it was Demise got reincarnated as Ganon, but then in the story, didn't Ganon touch the Triforce of Power to get the power of Demise? That's where I'm a little confused. And
that's because Demise did not reincarnate as Ganon. When Dragomire touched the Triforce, Demise went into Ganon.
Okay, so it wasn't a reincarnation; it was like a possession.
Now, yes, it's a possession. Now, people go, but how did he live so long? Power cannot be destroyed, only contained.
But
That's why.
Triforce, is it
That's
a,
why. Hold on for a second. That's why every version of Ganon knows Link and Zelda, but not every version of Link and Zelda know Ganon. Link and Zelda die, and the Triforce of Wisdom and Power finds their descendants and then possess those bodies. So new Zeldas and
His
Links.
memories is what you're
But
telling.
yes, but well, the Triforce of Wisdom and Courage, Link gets his memories back through the Master Sword. The Master Sword can maintain all the memories and the possessions of all the Links prior to that Link. Zelda gets her memories back because it's a Triforce of Wisdom, which never forgets. It makes sense. Triforce of Wisdom, so it would have all-knowing knowledge. But Ganon, it's not that Ganon retains his memories. Ganon never dies. It's the same being.
Yeah, over and over. It's an
Over
endless
and over again. That's why even in an alternate timeline in the Divergence, Ganon's sitting on the bed and he's talking with Zelda laying on the bed, and Link comes in and he's telling Link, "You may not know me, but I know you." But wait a minute, if this is a different timeline and whatever, how would Ganon know who Link
it's
is?
Demise that knows Ganon, not it's Demise that knows Link.
Yeah.
No, because Triforce, isn't it implied? Let me just say one thing real quick. They even implied, like they've said multiple times in the series, I forgot, they always change the year, but it's either like every 100 years or 1,000 years or something.
They do change the shit a lot.
It's either like 100 years or 1,000 years that a male Gerudo is born.
Yes.
It's heavily implied from that.
Dragmire, if the Triforce of Power is always in him, why would the Triforce of Power, he can't.
But Ganon's not the power Demise is. They can't contain Demise. They can't contain Ganon because Ganon is physical. Yeah, he's in Ganon, but so.
Okay, so is that why? I have a question. Is that why when you die in the game, it says Ganon returns? Remember how you died? No, 2. Big fart?
No.
That's good. It does sound like a fart, bro.
Fuck.
He ran away. He ran away to do it.
Oh shit, guys! 1 second. He liked Zelda so much he shat himself.
I knew it was something that had to do with cooking.
I apologize. That's the villain of the game. Yeah, the other person's the villain, but the real villain's Shadow Link. I remember that.
Here we go again.
No, but I don't think Nintendo thought of Demise back then, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got you. Yeah, Ganondorf is the thief who touched the Triforce of power and got demise inside of him. Correct. Got it. Yeah. Okay, I understand. Huh. But how long? Yeah, I was. That's you. How long has he been? Yeah.
Oh shit!
So people can only hear me talking. So wait, they can hear me talking?
Yeah, they can hear you talking.
I thought we were talking about. I thought this was a private conversation about Zelda.
No, we're good. We're good now. I muted him by mistake.
Yeah, he muted me by mistake.
My bad, y'all.
Wait. So we're live right now?
Yeah, we're live.
Why didn't you tell me? I thought we were talking about freaking Zelda privately here.
No. I told you. I said we're coming back on to talk to the fans of the Q&A. That's why he was like, you said it's kind of funny how you and Geekdom are like, that's how you know you guys know each other, but then you guys are not.
Oh, when did
I was basically making a reference to kindred spirits.
When did that actually start? The new stream? I did not know we were live. I thought we were.
Oh, no, it just started literally when you guys started talking about Zelda.
Oh, okay. All right.
So 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
If it's a problem, I'll delete the stream. Don't worry
No.
about it.
I didn't know. I was just curious. We're talking about Zelda. I don't have anything to hide. I was just confused. I thought that was later. But okay, never mind.
Okay.
Gotta hide your love for Zelda.
No, I don't. No, I'm curious about hearing your thing here. Okay. So all right. So the Thunderbird was Demise possessing the Thunderbird, not Ganon, because Ganon had no body anymore. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So now, the only thing I can make up for Mido is that a theory that Mido has been working with Ganon all this time, and Ganon has been given the magical energy to sustain his life for longer than any other other person. I say this because in the Zelda 2 game, there's Mido's Swamp. Mido has a swamp and a village named after him in the game. Mido from Ocarina of Time. It's in the game.
So it's like almost a retcon, or they had like an idea of it type thing.
Well, none of this is Bibled. Bibled canon is different from like when you're making stuff like the whole thing with look what Toriyama's doing with the whole S cells thing. Come on, we know he made that up, but he made that up based on things that already pre-existed in Dragon Ball. So that's why it kind of makes sense. And that's what Nintendo did with Zelda. When you had the Magic Sword, and we're looking, we're like, oh, okay, you know something? Let's change the name from Magic Sword to Master Sword, and that's really what that is. So, in that regard, that's what I'm thinking about Mido. But Mido is not that important. The point is that he finally gives Link the Triforce. Ganon has no body. It is important for you to understand Ganon has no body, and this is the legend is over, and this is based on the adventures of Link. It's very important. Because in the cartoon, Demise does not have a body. He lives in something called the Evil Jar. He needs a Triforce of power to maintain his weakened form.
Well, wait a minute. Ganon's in the cartoon, though.
Yes. No, not Ganon, not Ganon like dwarf. The pig essence, the spiritual essence is a pig. It's just there's just we call him Ganon. We between you and my conversation, we're calling him the demise. But Ganon is in the you don't see Guerrero Ganon, you see pig form Ganon in the
Yes,
whole cartoon.
that's right.
There's never a time you see the Guerrero version of Ganon. It's just pig form Ganon. And
Yes.
he's far weaker. 3 shots of anything and he dematerializes and he's respawned in something called the evil jar, and he's only done that only happens to him because he has a triforce of power, so Ganon can't get his body. In fact, it's kind of
So
funny.
you're telling me that the character in the TV show in the animated series is more spiritual character than an actual physical character, correct?
Yes, it is a spiritual character. In fact, when you kill Ganon, he when you shoot Ganon, they show you when you shoot Ganon like dissipates. And then he appears in the evil jar, and then when he gets his strength back up, he uses the Triforce of Power to regenerate himself out of the evil jar. That's why he keeps coming back. But this has nothing to do with the Legend of Zelda. This has everything to do with the adventures of Link.
Okay, I got
These
you.
are
Okay.
Link's adventures. Then now, after the 13 episodes of Link's adventures, right, and we brought some stuff up, like we literally streamed the Zelda cartoon. We got swatted by YouTube for it.
I was gonna say you're gonna get nailed for that.
We got nailed for it, and the whole purpose of it was to use the cartoons to show the similarities in games like Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword, and we found lots of similarities. There's a guy called Prince Facade. Like you got to see this guy. White Knight and everything. He's actually has a story that has something to do with Breath of the Wild. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Prince Facade was actually reincarnated today into somebody known as Street Pass Prince.
Anyway, whatever. So now that you have that whole thing is done, then you have the CDI games. The CDI games are a video game It's a video game continuation of the actual cartoons. These are still Adventures of Link, just horribly done. So you have the Faces of Evil game, then you have Zelda's Adventures, which I played Zelda's Adventures, and I played the oh my goodness, what was the other game?
Yeah, there's Link, the Faces of Evil, Zelda's Adventure, and
Wand of Gamelon. Wand of Gamelon.
Wand of Gamelon, yeah.
So these are just adventures of Link and Zelda in the world of Hyrule. So it shows you the different stuff that they go through. If you play Zelda Adventure, you know Zelda actually beats Ganon with a wand.
Yeah, she's the main character.
Yeah, she's the main character because Ganon is that weak that he can get beat with a regular wand. He gets sealed in the what's the word for this? He's sealed up in the game by the some talisman that they use because he's just weak. So now the reason why I brought this up, because if you play Breath of the Wild and you listen to the lore from Impa explains to you why Ganon is this powerful. 10,000 years after Ganon's body was destroyed. This is stated in Breath of the Wild. I'm like, 10,000 years after Ganon's body was destroyed? When was the last time Ganon's body was destroyed? Zelda 1.
So you're saying that Breath of the Wild takes place 10,000 years after Zelda 1?
Yes, it says it in the game.
Well, what happened during all those 10,000 years? They'll make that forget.
Well, Ganon was always weak. Ganon didn't really do anything. So Impa tells you Ganon stores up his power to make a final assault on Hyrule. So rather than continuously keep fighting Zelda in these little stupid little battles, Ganon just simply goes, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to store up my power and I'm going to make one final assault on Zelda. So in Breath of the Wild, they then start to prepare for Ganon's war on Hyrule by creating the Guardians. So these are the divine beasts that you see in the game and whatnot, because they want to use those things along with the regular Guardians that are octopus looking to when Ganon makes his final rage of war on Hyrule, they can fight him back. When you play the game, they tell you the Lord's story of what happened. 10,000 Guardians along with the divine beasts all rush Ganon along with Zelda and Link. Ganon was so powerful that even in his defeat, he was able to possess all of the Guardians and the divine beasts, get Link wounded, kill the 4 champions, and it's funny. Everyone makes fun about Zelda, how whack she is. Zelda is the only reason why Hyrule still exists to this day. Zelda literally is she had to stop the war by literally taking the Triforce of Power and going into Ganon and seal Ganon up. Jump straight to the wall, but you have to catch that one brick. That's so stupid. So in Breath of the Wild, Zelda, what she does is she sacrifices herself to seal Ganon, and she has the Sheikahs, right? She has the Sheikahs pretty much bring Link's body to the resurrection chamber to preserve his body from dying.
Yeah, he goes to sleep, and then how many years go by from then?
100 years from that time.
Okay, so you're saying that when at the beginning of Breath of the Wild, that's 10,100 years after Zelda 1, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. All right. So that's a lot of time. That's a huge time skip.
That's a good time skip, because you know why? Because people are complaining about the timeline. By Nintendo doing this, you know what Nintendo has done? Nintendo has simply rebooted the Legend of Zelda. They no longer have to follow the old timeline or whatever they feel that may or may not be canon. They can literally say, okay, you know something? From this point on, Breath of the Wild, it's a new era for Zelda. So it's the Legend of Zelda reborn.
Okay, so okay, and now okay, I understand. So he comes back as Calamity Ganon, but how does he get that kind of power? Like I haven't beat the game yet, but okay. I know some of it.
So Calamity Ganon is demise. If you look up the word calamity, this is demise completely corrupted. That's why as input in the game tells you this is Ganon in his most malice form. In fact, Malice Beast Ganon is the last version of Calamity Ganon. That is Malice in its true form. And what happens when you beat Breath of the Wild? Sorry for spoilers for anyone who hasn't beat the game yet, but Zelda says this will only stop Ganon for a time.
Yeah, aka we got to make more games. I mean, they're really saying, bro.
But from a business standpoint, that's genius.
Right. So even though they beat him in that game, he's gonna keep coming back because Ganon always comes back. But that's the story. Is that not like the story of this whole franchise? Is that because they touch the Triforces? Yeah, it's a cycle. Like Zelda, Link, and Ganon have to always exist. There's those three characters, right?
And when the Links and Zelda, when they die, the Triforces will simply find their descendants and possess the bodies of those descendants. Those descendants are woken up by their testament to do something to like find these 3 crystals or pull the Master Sword, then you are worthy and the Triforce goes into you. Happens to
the Triforce. At the end of Breath of the Wild, there is no body left in Ganon, so it has to be the next male Gerudo who was born.
They could do that if they want to.
Has to. But there's no body left.
But Ganon could just come back as Calamity Ganon again if they wanted to.
Yeah, no, but even then he needed a host.
Yeah, for him to have his true power, he needs a host.
Yeah, so it will be when he comes back, because if your theory is right, where every Zelda after this is directly after Breath of the Wild, then it has to be next male Gerudo. Demise goes into it, because you even see a Demise just evaporated into the atmosphere. He didn't die; he just spread out.
So it's just never going to end. Then they're going to keep fighting for.
Yeah, it's an endless cycle.
Endless cycle. That's what's supposed to happen.
The cycle starts